this world? What have they done to us?
What did they do to us? And you know how much I'm reducing the deficit this year? You know how much I'm reducing the deficit this year? I'm reducing the deficit this year. How much I'm reducing the deficit? 1,500,000,000. How much I'm reducing the deficit this year? I'm reducing the deficit this year. How much I'm reducing the deficit? How much I'm reducing the deficit this year? I'm reducing the deficit this year. How much I'm reducing the deficit this year? How much I'm reducing the deficit? I'm reducing the deficit. 1,500,000,000. How much I'm reducing the deficit this year?
I saw something this week, and funnily enough, it was on a current affair. It's the only thing I've really seen where they've had an interview with these girls, and I'm not really one for a current affair a lot of the time. Dodgy builders. But it's this one kind of hit a little bit close to home. My mum has been recently trying to get a rental and looking around. And it's just the housing crisis is insane at the moment. And a lot of people don't have much options. A lot of people are sleeping on couches. A lot of people are sleeping in their car. And you would think that the government would be all ready to rock and roll to help and come up with some plans to help people, and instead they seem to just want to continually wrap everyone up in red tape for their own safety or whatever the reason is. Anyway, let's play the clip and we can get into it because it's just a little bit shit, and the government just needs to do better.
You'd think bureaucrats might be willing to think outside the box. Well, so much for wishful thinking, because one council's decision simply defies logic.
Where are we supposed to go?
It does make you feel very unsettled and insecure to be living this way.
We've been asking for compassion, and the answer I got was they have to go.
All these women want is a place to call home.
This is a grassroots community solution to the problem. It doesn't cost the taxpayer anything. You know, these girls have come up with the idea themselves.
It seems like the perfect solution to the current housing crisis. 2 single mums and a pensioner living in tiny houses and a caravan on this rural property. They've been doing it successfully for 10 months. But now the local council has ordered them out, saying they have to be off this land by the end of next month.
We invested everything to be here, and an eviction, it's a lot of mental anguish, physical anguish.
Pepper and her friends are at playgroup.
Single mum Angela Smith and her 2 boys moved here last year when their rental was sold. Facing the rising cost of living, she bought this tiny home but needed a place to park it.
We've got everything we need, our lounge room, our kitchen, our bathroom and laundry, so we are entirely self-sufficient.
It's a 2-storey house on wheels. There's room for the kids to play, even a veggie patch.
We have a grey water setup that is the same one the council uses.
Now the council wants them out because it's against regulations and they're facing an uncertain future.
Regulation.
It's really deeply disappointing, and I question, when did council become more about law enforcement than about serving their people?
We have a housing crisis. It's a nationwide housing crisis, and I think that they have to make a crisis response to that situation.
Jacqueline Morton owns the sprawling 32-acre property in the Sunshine Coast hinterland. That's the size of around 300 house blocks. When the opportunity came up to share her space and give people a roof over their heads, she was happy to do it.
The main reason I'm passionate about it is because I was faced with the thought of being homeless many, many years ago when my kids were young.
It's not a big money spinner. The women pay very little to stay here or help out around the grounds.
They've bought themselves a home. All they need is somewhere to park, and I can offer them that.
When her friend Judy Stark needed a place to call home, Jacqueline provided a place for her caravan.
I've never had a home of my own. I've always rented. I've never been in a position to own a home.
Judy, why is it important for you to live here?
The peaceful, the rural setting, like-minded people around me. It's good to have different ages too, we can help each other in different ways. and the security of not having to move again. I've moved quite a lot in the last few years, and
It's become home.
it feels like home, yeah.
Judy says someone from council even suggested she apply for public housing and join the ballooning wait list. But the grandmother and pensioner says that's just not needed.
The taxpayers don't have to pay for my housing, you know.
Do you want me to pause it, or can
Jackie
you pause
would
it?
like
Yeah,
to
no, that's
have people around
that's
us,
enough.
and
Turn
I'm
it off
very
there.
happy to be here.
So obviously that goes on a bit more, and they continue talking about how rubbish it is. They suggested that she pack up and leave, become homeless, and then apply for public housing, which would cost a crazy amount, and then you're at the absolute behest of the government. The wait list for public housing, I would imagine, would be enormous right now. Like, they've given these girls a month to get off, but I don't understand why. Like, the only thing that makes sense is that they're not getting their dollar.
Hope's got a good point.
Yeah, because they're missing out on the rates.
Council is missing out on rates, but
I would say there's just a rule.
Because they're not going to get more rates out of these people.
I would say that there's just some rule.
Sorry?
I would say that there's just some rule that's been made so that people can't make like dodgy accommodation on their block. You know, buy a massive block, put heaps of caravans on there, and then charge people. And people can't do like dodgy accommodation. There'd be some sort of weird rule, but you can tell that there's a lot of things going on here. It's not about making a profit. It's about people with nowhere to go, and we are in a housing crisis, and the government they can't even do like the case by case basis thing. It's just somebody's gone, nah, doesn't work. We're not allowed to do it, so let's just kick them off. They're going to cause a big thing, and look, it's not isolated to these girls. I know of a lot of people that are doing this kind of thing and trying to do this kind of thing, and the government's coming down on them very harshly. So it's one of the reasons I wanted to have a quick chat about it tonight is people are finding grassroots ways around the housing crisis, and Big Brother's right there as the goalkeeper, ready to just throw them straight back into the public housing system, the most gross, unreliable system in Australia outside of the lockdown systems that failed miserably, and contact tracing. It doesn't work. I know people personally in the housing, and it's not good at all. And this isn't just isolated to that sort of thing either. I've heard recently there was somebody up here in the north. They'd found some sort of secluded sort of area at this beach, big, huge, long beach area that no one was really ever at. And they set up a tent, and they'd been there for like 12 months. They had this big setup, and every day that person would go out and pick up rubbish and just walk along the beach all the way for kilometres, pick up rubbish and keep the place tidy. And they got told they had to move, and they said, well, they didn't have anywhere to go and they couldn't afford anything. And it's just the same thing. It's a patch of earth on our earth. It really, I don't know. I start getting upset when people start throwing flags in and saying, this is our bit and this is your bit and you got to pay us this bit. Like, I thought the definition of a public servant was to be a servant to the public. But it's really becoming the other way around. We are becoming their servants, and they're the ones telling us what to do in every aspect and every facet of life. And it's just getting a little bit too much.
Well, it's a joke. I remember a couple of years back, or just recently actually, we had a mini skip that we had to put on our land. And the first time we went through with ordering the mini skip, we then found out, I think it's like $200 that we have to give to the council to have a mini skip, not on the footpath or on the curb or on the lawn on our property. We have to pay the council $200 to have a mini skip on. And we said to the mini skip guy, look, we won't tell him if you don't. And he's like, no. He goes, I can't do it because I'm going to cop it. I'll be copping a fine if I don't, if I pick it up without you showing me the paperwork that you've basically paid that. And I'm like, it's my land. And it's the same thing that's going on here. It's like you just said, they're not working for us anymore. It's just a revenue raising council that is they're lining their own pockets. And then this is why they've got exorbitant wages that are like $400,000 for the head of council or the mayor of Hobson's Bay here. It's just nuts.
It's unfathomable how much they get paid.
Yeah, Jason Corning. Do they want to pitch a tent in Musgrave Park? The ladies would be so much safer on that property. That council sucks dick. Yeah, I agree. It's so they're actually they're putting them into a possibly unsafe environment when they're all on this property, living happily together, helping each other out, helping out with the kids and so forth. And it's a community that they're basically, it's a very small community, obviously, only 4 ladies, but they're just destroying it by saying, you can't do this. Why can't they do it? Because it's her fucking property. I'm fucking pissed off, actually. You sent me that video, and I fucking got pissed off because I'm like, this is, it's communism, basically. Again, like signs of communism. Like, isn't this a good thing? Like, and then I watched the whole thing, and the newsreader at the end, she goes, we contacted the council. It's in the Gold Coast, yeah? I think.
Oh, just outside of, but yeah.
Yeah, and the newsreader goes, we have contacted the council, and they have said no, they will not be giving them an extended stay or anything like that.